Hey guys, it's Jason, and this is how I would build a career that I love with fulfillment, autonomy, as soon as possible if I had to start from scratch today. Now, if you're new here, my name is Jason, and before I was stuck in corporate, I was a law school graduate. I then worked in a very big consulting firm, fancy titles, but I just hated my life. And fast forward today, I'm the head of growth at a remote startup. I've grown my personal brand. I've built a business on top of it. I've worked with brands like Clearly, Lovable, Squarespace, and I'm really building this career that I love, has autonomy, and still has that unlimited upside potential, which even back in consulting and law I did not have. And what I'm going to share really helped me finally build a career with fulfillment, autonomy, a career that I really love. And when I look around, most people my age who are doing really well, who are absolutely killing it, who are loving their life, loving the life that they've designed, most of them are doing something similar. But then also, except from those outliers, I'll say 90% of the people that I actually interact with on a day-to-day basis in their 20s, most of them are still following this outdated traditional career playbook. Get a degree from top school and then try land a top job, try to get promoted, and then try jump to another company for slightly higher salary. But it's just so clear that this isn't working. If you look around yourself, look at all the people that are working a day job. I'll promise you 90% of them absolutely hate what they're doing. Either they hate it or then they don't hate it, but then there's downside to the job they don't hate. So either they get paid peanuts, or they work really long hours, or it's a job where there's no future prospect. And you see, as I explain later, that this isn't even just for smart people. I think even if you're just a normie like me, I won't call myself smart. Yes, I went to law school, but I've seen far too many people who are way smarter than me in pure intellect, pure IQ. They're so much smarter than me, but they're still stuck in this traditional outdated career playbook because they just don't know about this stuff. They haven't really thought about it. They haven't spent the time like me. I've spent the last few years just looking these things up, learning, reading books, and this is the playbook that I've compiled. And if you can sit tight for the next 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how my editing goes, then hopefully this will bring you some value, give you some insight to how to really design and build a career that you love with autonomy. So the inspiration was that a few months ago I met this couple who is super cool. One of them used to work in McKinsey. I think she was a manager in McKinsey, and her husband was a manager in Oliver Wyman. Now, if you're familiar with consulting, or you're really deep into the whole corporate thing, then both McKinsey and Oliver Wyman are very good consulting firms. Now, what they did was basically they quit their job. They both quit their job, and now what they're doing is that they're only working half a year in a year. So 365 days, they're only spending half of it actually working, and other half they're traveling, they're going to places, they're visiting family, and they're just living life. I actually met the guy in a football match. He turns out to be the guy that organized all these weekly football sessions, and I just asked him how do you have so much time doing all this stuff? Don't you have a day job? And turns out he does what I'm saying. He's designed his work in a way where he's making pretty good money whilst only working half a year. And how he's done that is that he's quit his full-time job. Him and his wife, they're both quit their full-time job, and now they only do freelance consulting project, one-off. But because they're one-off, because they're contractor roles, because they're freelance project, they pay a lot more because obviously you're not tied down to one company and you're only working for 2 months, so it's more lucrative. So that's sort of what they're doing right now. And initially I was damn, this is really cool. Maybe I can do this as well, because I used to work in consulting, and I'm okay, maybe I can also work for a few more years in consulting and then become a freelance consultant. And then the more I dig deep into it, the more I realized in principle, this isn't something that only applies to consulting. This is actually something that applies to everyone, anyone who just wants to build a career that they love. And this doesn't even require you to have a fancy title, having worked in a fancy company. It requires a lot of introspection, which I'll talk about later. And I'll immediately give you a few examples to prove my point. You don't have to have gone to a good school. You don't have to having worked in a gigantic big name company to be able to redesign your career. Now, obviously, if you want to do freelance management consulting specifically, then you probably have to have worked in consulting. But there's a lot of ways to design your career for fulfillment and autonomy, and basically basing on your lifestyle needs without having to go through that path. So the first example that immediately popped up on my head is one of my best friend from school. So he's never like the most bright in terms of like academics. I think he was like mid of the pack in school at most. Like he went to an okay university. But what he's done is that he's never ever worked a day job in his life. And how he does it is that he just understands his lifestyle needs. He understands what his value is to the market. He is never the brightest academically, but he was always really good at sports. And what happened is that in the last couple of years, he got really into like climbing. And what he's doing right now is that his day job is basically being a climbing coach slash a content creator. And his month to month, year to year is literally like flying to different places to film, do collabs with like other creators, climber creators, or like actual professional climbers, and then just making like videos out of it. And he gets like sponsorship, he gets like ads, and then he's also supplementing the income with like actual climbing coaching for people. He's never worked a day job. He's not like academically the brightest, but what he's able to do is that he understands his strength, he understands his value to the market, he understands his own lifestyle needs, he knows the kind of life he want to live, right? Like he studied economics in university, so he very easily could have became like a banker or had like a very stable 9 to 5 job. But he knew that wasn't the life he wanted, so he was able to build like a different life. Or even take me as an example, right? Like I went to law school. I very easily could have just became a lawyer, and that would actually be the easiest path for me instead of like doing all these things I've done, like having worked in consulting and then quitting and then building an app and then like building a personal brand and now working in a startup. If I was just optimizing for money, I could very well have just became a lawyer. I went to a very good law school. Lots of my friends work in, magic circle firms or even US law firms. Now, if you're in law, those are like some very good firms. And I could easily be making 6 figures right now just, through becoming a lawyer. But I knew that's not the life I want. And instead, this right now is what I want to do. And this right now gives me a lot more exponential growth potential in the next couple of years. I'm working as the head of growth at a startup. I get crazy responsibility, but I also get crazy autonomy because I basically call my own shots. And I know the lifestyle I want, I don't want to be working 70, 80 hours a week stuck in the office, wearing like button-up shirts. What I want to do is like work at home, wear t-shirts, wear whatever I want, and then just like go to the gym in the afternoon if I want to, because I know that my boss doesn't care what time I get on or off work as long as I deliver what I promise I'll deliver. I mean, really, my boss doesn't care about what time I get started work or what time I finish. As long as I deliver, I catch up with him once a week. I tell him what I'm working on. I ask him the questions. I tell him what he needs to help me with. I tell him what other people under me has been working on. And that's mostly it. And then other time I just go away and do my own thing. And then outside of work, I have so much time to like work on my own business and my side hustle. For example, like making videos like this on YouTube to tell you that like this is very much possible. I'm not like someone like extremely smart. I didn't like crack any code. I just was a bit more curious about lifestyle design and career design than most people that I know. I spent so much time in uni just reading different books, listening to so many different podcasts about like how different successful people design their life and design their career. And this is the result. Or even like take one of my other friend who's also in consulting as an example, right? He basically recently quit consulting, but what he's doing is that he's been building this app. For the last 6 to 8 months, he's been basically working consulting and also building this app on the side simultaneously. Now, personally, I tried that didn't really work for me, but for him, it works really well. He wakes up like 2 hours earlier before work every single day to work on his app, and now he's basically like working on it full time. He's not doing consulting anymore, and he's trying to make it surpass his consulting income in the next 6 months. And that's also like another viable career path. He's able to basically, if he wants to, work anywhere. Like, yes, he's based in London right now, but he could move to Bali, and I think he's actually like traveling to Malaysia and Singapore in like 2-3 months, just staying there just because he can, because he doesn't have like a day job anymore. And in that way, he's also like designed his career for fulfillment and autonomy. I see him and he's like, damn, this is like actually so freeing. There's no people pinging me Slack messages or Microsoft Team messages. I'm just working on my own thing. And in a way, like he's might be even like working more than he used to now that he's working by himself, but it is like but it's working on things that he actually cared deeply about. So like the point I want to prove is that you can redesign your career as long as you understand the lifestyle needs and your strength. Now I want to talk more about leaning into your strength, because a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people start from passion. So they think about like, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about football. So what I need to do is I need to become like a footballer. That's not really the way to think about it. Instead, try to lead from your strength, because your strength is usually what the market will value you more for, and that can, indirectly bring you to certain outcomes that become like a good lifestyle or like career, whatever word you want to use. So for example, my friend, the climbing athlete creator that I mentioned, right? He's been able to live this lifestyle of like doing what he truly loves, which is climbing, doing it with like people he loves, like people you see on TV, like professional climbers, and then also getting flown out to places by, sponsors, because he understands his strength, which is like he's good at climbing, but also he is, an English speaker in, a sports scene where the local language is more dominant. So he's based in Hong Kong, and then in the Hong Kong climbing scene, most people actually just speak, Cantonese. And not a lot of people actually spoke English, which meant that as a climber creator who speaks English, he immediately stands out. And that became his unfair advantage. That became his unique selling point. So in that sense, he understood his strength, and he basically designed his career around it. Now, I actually did something similar. It's more a beautiful accident rather than a intentional choice, but if I wanted to, I could very well just be doing freelance consulting right now, working like 6 months on, 6 months off, and then getting paid basically the same amount to when I was working full-time in consulting. But basically, I got this project to work with Google, where they flew me out to Taiwan. It's a Google/Financial Times collaboration project. They flew me out to Taiwan to work with some, media brands. It's like a consulting project, one of a couple of months. I did that, and the only reason why I got it was because I understood my strength. I worked in consulting, but because it's in Taiwan, they needed someone who spoke Chinese. So I also spoke Chinese, and also I have media experience because I'm so familiar with the content landscape. I've been playing in the space for a couple of years now, and I really understood the unique value that I provided here, and that's why I've been able to design my career in this way, in a way where it fits my lifestyle needs, because I understand my strength. And this isn't about me being smart, right? None of this, my example or my friend, is about me being smart. It's just about being more introspective. Like, if you want to build this life where you truly have control over where you work, when you work, how much you make, the lifestyle you get, being able to wake up on a random Tuesday morning and then say, hey, I'll go out for a walk for an hour before I start work. It's about being introspective, understanding yourself, understanding your own strength. You can be the smartest person in life. Like, you can have like 180 IQ. Is that really high? I'm not actually sure. I've not done an IQ test, but the point being, you don't have to be very smart. What you have to be, it should be introspective. Like, if I ask you right now, when was the last time you sat down, opened up a notebook with a pen or a pencil, and then just like wrote on it, just like journaling, reflecting for like 10 minutes plus? I'm not saying like on your phone, like typing on your like Apple Notes or something. Like, actually pen and paper without any electronic distraction, no laptop, no phone, 10 minutes, just like sit there and then just reflect or like write on a prompt. I can tell you I did that this morning. Like, literally this morning, I set a 15-minute timer, put my phone on like do not disturb, and then pen, and I have a notebook. Actually, I'll go pull it up to you to prove my point. This is the notebook I was literally writing on this morning. You see CMS, which is like a big law firm for anyone who actually studied law or is a lawyer. I got this as like a free gift years ago when I was like in one of their open days. But anyway, I'm not gonna show you what I actually wrote, but you can see here. Okay, I'm not sure if it's focusing, but like you can see like the date, and it just says like what's on my mind. It says what's on my mind, and then it shows you like the date, which is this morning. I did this literally this morning, and trust me, if you take away one thing from this video, do this. After this video, just like turn off your laptop, turn off your phone, set a 15-minute timer, and then just write on this prompt like, what am I good at? What's my strength? And then just like let yourself cook, let yourself cook. 10-15 minutes. Don't use your phone. Just try to like focus. Even if you can't think of anything, just like try to sit through it. You will get results that shock yourself. Just try it. And other people that I speak to sometimes, that I work with, will say that, hey, this is really risky. Like, well, like quitting my job and then like trying to build an app is really risky. To that, I'll say this is only risky if you don't know risk management. So, for example, my friend who quit his job to like now focus on building an app. Yes, it's risky, but it's not like he's quit his job. He doesn't have anything proven, and then now he's starting to build his app from scratch. He's been working on it for 6 to 8 months. So for a lot of people, you can do like a transition period, or even for me, like right now, I think I'm doing my risk management really well. I'm building a business. I'm helping people do like their career transition to figure out their career pivot and how to like accelerate the career, building their own, career playbook. At the same time, I'm like having this like head of growth job at a startup remote. So like my downside is protected with the salary, and the upside is uncapped with like the business that I'm actually growing. And this personal brand and all the sponsorship I've been doing is just like a nice to have side income. And I've been able to build this life because I was thinking a bit more strategically about it in terms of risk management. I tried to go all in before. It didn't really work. What I realized is that it would be so good if I just have someone as like a sounding board, which like now I do. I talk to a lot of people about this kind of stuff before I make any decisions. But basically you can manage your risk. But I'll say risk management really depends on the person, your unique scenario, also your risk appetite. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution. But if you're interested, I work with people one-on-one. If you want to book in like a free call just to like get some feedback on your career thinking, get some like guidance to brainstorm some different ideas, then there's a link down below where you can book in a free call and see if you want to work with me long term. But if you look at my other friend, for example, the one who's a climbing creator, right? Like you can say it's really risky, but clearly he's done his risk management well. Like he started doing everything he's doing when he was still in uni. So it's basically like a seamless transition from between his graduation to like him working on his own business / like coaching. There's no gaps when he's like, in debt or anything. So it's about risk management after all. And everyone can manage their risk as long as you know how to do it. And another thing is just like understanding your lifestyle vision. Like what kind of life do you want to live? For my friend who's the, athlete creator, he doesn't really care about like buying fancy cars or like designer brands or any of those things. He just want to climb with cool people. And to him, like that's the focus of his lifestyle. I have this other friend who's also like been able to design his career really well. He basically works in tech. He dropped out of university, very good university, to become a venture capitalist, which is just a fancy word for like startup investor. Worked there for a while, built up some money, built up some network, and now he's launched his own startup, raised some money, and his lifestyle is a lot cooler. He flies to different places, go to like, I know both travels, but they're like different types of travel. One of them goes to like mountains to climb. The other one goes to like Dubai, New York, LA, get like fancy Instagram photos. But to him, like he knows that's the lifestyle he wants. He told me a few times where he thinks the thing he's optimizing for right now is adrenaline rush, which is fair enough. Like if he knows that's the lifestyle he wants and he's been able to design his own career to do that, then like good for him, right? But the lifestyle component is so important, and also like something I really want to stress, which is you can't just like understand. You can't just lead with your lifestyle and then fit your career around it. This is something Cal Newport talks about in his books. If you're interested, you can like look him up. He wrote a few very interesting like career books. But basically you can, and I give permission to you here to like drive with your lifestyle. Think of the lifestyle, the life that you want to live in the next 3 to 5 years, and then just reverse engineer your career to fit into that lifestyle instead of having to fit your lifestyle with the career that you're building right now. So that's another prompt that you can work with your journal after this video. And if everything I've told you in this video still isn't helpful, then here's a 4-step process that you can follow to basically like start building your dream career today. Step 1 is understand yourself. So a lot of stuff we talked about, understand your strength. What is your strength? This might come from your experience. This might come from your work experience. This might come from your personality. This can literally be anything, but you really have to understand yourself as a first step. Step 2 is to identify your North Star goal and your personal playbook. Now, North Star goal is basically this like long-term vision that you have for the future that makes you excited. I talk more about it in my last video, so like you can click, I don't know, here or here to like watch it, but finish this first and then go watch that one. But then personal playbook is something that I think I sort of invented. It's a word that I invented. Maybe other people have used it, I don't know, but this is what I think everyone should have. It's basically like a user menu / sort of like guide to your life. Like how do you best optimize for the package that you have, the person that you are, like your personality, your needs, your values, your strength. Basically like a user manual to teach you how to use you as if you're like this machine, how to like optimize it so then life becomes like easy, effortless, and you build the life that you want. Step 3 is to drill a bit deeper into your 3 to 5 year plan. So at this point, you should have your North Star goal, you should have your personal user manual, your personal playbook. You want to design your next 3 to 5 years, which is a bit more concrete. Yes, it can change, but it's important to have like some kind of vision for the next 3 to 5 years and then reverse engineer what you need to do, which is step 4. So step 4 is just your immediate execution. Like if you look at this 3 to 5 year plan, what do you need to do to get to that dream outcome in 5 years? That version of you, that 2.0 version of you, that is the person that you want to become in 5 years. What's the immediate action in the next year that can lay the brakes to get you there? This will really help you sort of start thinking through and building a more personalized life and career for yourself, not following like the traditional playbook that everyone has been following. Because think about it, we all understand that the education system is not designed for everyone. Like some people thrive in it more, some people need other kind of support. So why aren't we thinking about it the same way with career? Like yes, traditional career, working a 9 to 5 in an office, just one job, one salary, works for some people, but not for other people. Like for me, like some people might just want to become an entrepreneur and just like do their own thing. Other people might want like to be a freelancer with like different portfolios. Other people might want a day job but then supplement it with something else. And this will be sort of like your roadmap to start building towards the life that you want, with autonomy, fulfillment, and actually the lifestyle that you want to live. And this really is possible. Like I've done it myself in the last year and a half. There's a lot of things that I wish I had avoided, but my thing is that there's no regret. Like anything I've done brought me to where I am today, so I never regret anything. But if I could, there would be things that I would do differently. And right now I'm having this life where I'm like pretty happy with it. Now I think you heard me right. I want to make $1 million helping 1 million people, and I want to help people that are like quite similar to me, either like directly right now or people who were kind of like me, like stuck in corporate, a bit confused, don't really know what they want to do with their career. And I want to just show people that like, hey, this is like actually possible, and it doesn't take that long to get here as long as you have the right system. I hope this makes sense. This is basically how I would rebuild my career from scratch, a career that I love, with fulfillment, with autonomy. So whether you're like someone that started building freedom but you want to like accelerate the process, or you haven't started, you're like just stuck, you don't know what to do, feel free to like book a call with me in the link in the description. Cool, I'll see you next week. Peace.